Hey, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. This is Thursday, September the 27th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Man, there was some really good movement here, but if you didn't get in down here, you didn't get much of it. And, obviously you could have bought any of these pullbacks up through here, but buying those is dangerous. So, and this is the one thing I do want to talk about today, since there's not a lot of trades. This is a perfect example of why you don't listen to the news, because the news was so negative today. And, there was nothing but negativity out there for the most part. There was a little bit of good news in the initial jobless claims, but nothing to write home about. But the pending home sales were negative. The big one today was the U.S. durable goods, which was negative 13%. And, I saw some headlines that said that was the biggest decline since the Great Depression. So, what does that mean? I don't know. But the thing I want you to get out of this is that you don't trade the news. And that's a perfect example why, because everything in my being said that prices should have come down, because we had a gap down here. This is where the market opened, right here. And you would expect with negative news that prices would easily be able to fill that gap, and they could not go any lower than this 1430 area right across here. And then suddenly, out of the blue, prices just take off and rally like crazy. So, um, there's just no explaining it other than it's election time, and somebody don't want this market selling off. That's my guess. But it doesn't matter, but that's why you follow the price action. So enough about that. Let's get on to the day. We started off in this real choppy kind of thing. I was looking for us to fill the gap down here, so I was looking for a short, and we kind of had this trend line that was working down through here. I think I started it off at this high. And if you bring it down through there like so, off those closes, you can see we had a nice touch of that and then a reversal, and that's a big bearish bar. And I actually sold this one tick above that bar right there because it was negative and it was a doji, and I figured we'd probably tick up there and then turn down. But you still could have entered right here. I believe there was enough room. Let me just make sure before I tell you that. But 31, and it went to 29.75, and you can see that it got just enough to get that tick, and then we tested that area 2 more times, and then we bounced out of there. But the problem was there was never a really good setup. By the time you got your failed second entry short, then you had to go long way up here. So unless you just bought this blindly down here once you saw this double bottom, it just wasn't a very good setup. And you can see prices didn't go very far before they pulled back again. Then you had a failed second entry short here, and that's 2 legs back. So there was a chance to go long right there, but it was just so choppy, and there was always a chance we were coming back down here. So I didn't like it, and then we got into all this overlap, and there just were not many good setups. But this kind of moved up, and there's your lows right across there. You can see that's where the most touch, and that's really where your closes were, right across there. So your line has moved up now. You got 2 equal legs back to that, and look at the stems down here, and notice that we tested that twice. You had this little inside bar. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. We had that little inside bar, and then it ticked lower, and then a break above that's a second entry long, and it took this one a minute to take off, but once it did, it still kind of chopped. But right here is where it really took off, and notice that we had that trend line coming up through there, and there's your pullback to the trend line that reversed off of it. And notice that we had this little double top, and it ticked lower, so you could have gone long right there across those highs, because there's a lot of stops there, and you got everybody fooled now. And you can see even then it took a minute to take off, but suddenly it took off. But if you didn't get in here, there's a breakout pullback long here, but that just wasn't a great place to be entering, since this looked more like a trading range. And you can see it was really choppy, but really you could have entered anywhere up through there and made money. but I just, it's too risky to enter in this, so I didn't mark any trades. And then all of a sudden you got another failed second entry short that turned into a second entry long right here, and it was another nice run up to a new high. And then there's not much going on the rest of the day, and you can see that that was the third push up that broke above that trend channel line. I marked this in green. You got that big bearish bar, and you got a little bitty doji right there. And so if you saw that coming off that trend channel line, and all I did was copy this one and kind of moved it up to the highs. There were your first highs right there, and you can kind of see we got above that, and it kind of acted as support there, and then we turned back down below it and made one more run up, and you got a little bitty doji, plenty of room to scalp out there. So this was a nice short if you saw it and took it. And then it just got all choppy again, and you don't want to be getting in too close to these highs. There was another possible short here, but this was the first break of the trend line. And so prices came back down, and we got these matching lows across here. You ticked one tick lower, turned up, and that is and you can see there's actually two little legs down, but there was a break below that little double bottom right there, and that was a pullback to test this breakout area right in here, across here, and then prices went up, and there was just enough excuse me there, it was just enough to get another scalp, and then it sold off again. And then it just, the last hour or two of the day, there just wasn't much happening. Nobody wanted to sell this market, but the buyers quit buying. They ran it up. I guess they did their job, and that was that. So there really weren't but about 3 or 4 really good trades today. I don't even know if I'd count this was a good trade. There were 1, 2, 3, and even this one. But you got the reason I like this one again is you got your double bottom across here, and when it broke lower, that was your pullback that tested this breakout area. And the best place to enter was a limit order right there to buy, and then it was easy to get out. But even if you bought above that bar, you still could have gotten out. And that was it for today. And there just weren't a lot of setups. And again, unless you caught one of these entries down here, there just wasn't a good entry. This is a two-legged pullback, but man, that's scary to buy that. It hadn't got back to the EMA, hadn't got back to the trend line. We've already had a huge run up. It just was not a great setup, and you can see, prices did go higher, but they didn't go very far before we finally had a nice correction back to the EMA. And when you get a big move like this, the first move back to the EMA, you just about have to look for a setup there every time. And even the second time we had a setup there. So I didn't mark this one because we had that big bearish leg down, and we didn't really, that was the second time, and it was coming off the top of the trend channel line after, and notice how each time we broke higher here, prices don't go quite as far, and that's a sign that you've got a lot of resistance up there too. So but that's pretty much it. I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking about this today. It just was one of those days, and if you didn't do good today, I can understand why. Unless you caught this, there just wasn't a chance to really make any money, and there was one more chance right here. Other than that, it was all iffy. So, and that's the way I would describe it, as very iffy. I really thought we would make one more push up before the close, and it just wasn't happening. Nobody was buying it. Every little run up just got beat back down real fast. So, but this was, according to what I see there, is this was the first break of the trend line. But I also was looking, you had this leg right here, and I was looking for a leg similar to that over here. And you can see we got that, but it just didn't sell off very much. And then it was back off to the races again, to the upside. Somebody just wanted to buy this thing today, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They bought it, and they bought it strongly until this touch right here, and then it was, they tried to take it up again, got one tick higher, and just trapped everybody. And I should have exited my runner right there, and I didn't, and I didn't get out of my runner. Um, Actually, I rode it all the way back down and back up, and when it turned back down here, I had to exit, and so I gave back a little bit myself, and I'm not very happy with myself because there weren't that many entries today. So, and that was the only one I caught a runner on, was right here, and so anyway, don't know how your day was, but I'm not happy with my day today. Um, just once again, just trying to get too much there, getting greedy. I know what happens most of the time when you break out, but I thought really we would get at least another leg like this, and I was wrong, and it cost me 2 or 3 points there, maybe 4 points, I can't remember, that I had in the bank that I let get away from me. So I should have exited and right up here and looked to re-enter back down here and got another little quick scalp. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. We'll see you next time.